You are good. Okay, very good. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to everybody that's joined us in person and those of you that have joined us online. I'd like to call to order the regular monthly business meeting of the Island Transit Board of Directors for April 3rd, 2026. I'm going to take a quick roll call. Neela Perkins.
Present.
Melanie Bacon.
Here.
Craig Sear.
Here.
Me. Here. And Janet Sinclair and James P. Marrow are excused from the meeting today. Jill Johnson will be joining us shortly. However, we do not have a quorum right now, so we will not be approving the agenda or the consent agenda. So we're going to move things around a little bit until Jill joins us and we do have a quorum. We good with that? Okay, very good. So I'm going to jump over to public input and comment. This is the time that we have reserved for members of the public to address the board. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and we can end or modify public comment if the remarks become disruptive or not relevant to the business before the board. Matters requiring more extensive input should be submitted in writing. Do we have anyone in the room that wishes to speak? Anyone online? They can unmute themselves, right?
Nice.
Okay, going once. Going twice. Okay. Hearing none, we will close the public input and comment segment and we will move to a presentation regarding business item number 5 by Brad Lindler.
Good morning. The planning and outreach team, as you may or may not be aware, has been working with our consultants doing the long range transit plan. And as part of that effort, and as one of the outcomes we want to have from that effort, we are hoping to develop a set of key performance indicators or KPIs that the agency can track to know how we're doing as our performance continues over time. And we also needed to develop a way to display or communicate that information to the public as well as to our board of directors. So what I'm going to be talking about today is our dashboard that we are working on to display this information. And we have gotten our dashboard to a stable format that we think is very communicative and gives us the options of displaying a lot of information, a lot more information than I will be discussing today. So we can modify this over time, but we wanted to come forward now and talk to our board members. And I'm not putting you on the spot for feedback right up at this moment today, but we did want you to start considering what is the information that you want to see displayed in this format. And so I'm going to walk through what we've done so far. Is right now we have a home page here that you're looking at, and it has a date in the upper left corner. And staffing has been one of these items that has been a concern that board members often want to track. Public is often wants to know, what's the size of our staff, those kind of things. So we have started with a display of our full-time and part-time operators, as well as what operators we have in training in the pipeline, and displaying both islands there so that board members and staff can be aware of the status of this agency. And then on the left-hand side, we can go to the second button, and I say it's the second button. We could potentially add more types of data over there on the left-hand side, but for demonstration purposes today, we're going to stick with operations data. And then, then we have a number of buttons that appear at the top, and this is different types of operations data, and we'll go through all of these, as well as there's now a middle row there that allows us to kind of zoom in on specific areas or time frames for this data. So the first one we're looking at here is our ridership. And this is set up to display the total ridership of the agency. And as you look at the middle there, we're comparing 2025 versus 2026. We have an option of choosing between both, either island, but right now we have both highlighted. And then we have the type or mode, that we're operating, and right now we have all modes displayed. But we'll get into this in a little bit and how we get to choose our data. Was there a question?
No,
Okay.
no, you're doing great.
All right, the next button on the top is riders per mile. And so this is one of those efficiency methods, or indicators that can tell an agency how it's doing. With the service that we roll out on the street, how many people are we getting to ride? Are we running those big empty buses, or are we getting people on board? And again, we're comparing 2025 versus 2026. 2026 is in orange. And then we can narrow our focus based on a specific year. You know, we can choose between the years. Oh, if you could bring them both back up, please.
Yeah.
And you know, you can go between the different islands or the different modes, but you can see here in 2026 that our efficiency has gone up in the first couple of months. And that's what you want to see as an agency is, are we improving on our past performance? And so this makes me feel pretty good about 2026. We're off to a nice start where we're improving our efficiency. The next one is miles and hours. And this is one of these formats that we're still working with a little bit. The blue and the orange represent service miles and total miles. But I'm hoping that maybe our board members may have some suggestions for how they would like to get this information, or and then the second two columns there are for service hours and total hours. So service hours, the difference there, service hours is when we can pick up customers. So when we go out and we pick up customers, but there's a lot of deadhead time. How much time do we run with the door closed doing deadheads? Pre-post strips, those kind of things, that's all captured under total miles and total hours. So it's a measure of how much of our time like total hours and total miles is our total amount of performance. And most of the time, well over 90% of the time we have a vehicle out and operating, it is in revenue service. So we do a good job of keeping our vehicles available for service. The next column is a cost per trip. So this is, we're comparing 2025 versus 2026, and this is we are still working on behind the scenes with this format, working on all of our data, getting all of our formulas right. So I would say don't get focused on a particular number or how far up a particular cost is, because we're still working on nailing down all of our data. But this is the format that we feel works well, where you can compare like the first orange bar, that is paratransit and on demand, and the cost in 2025 versus the cost in 2026 year to date. And 2026, we're a little more efficient. Our cost per ride has gone down. And that's, again, one of those things that you want to see as a public agency. Are you getting more efficient over time? Are the improvements that you're making, what is the impact of them? And you can see those kind of effects here. On the flip side, it can give you, you know, you can see a lot of things. And again, we have that middle area. We can zoom in on Camino or Whidbey if we wanted to. Yeah, let's look at Whidbey. Where you can just zoom down to those routes, or you could zoom down to Caminos, and really start looking at some data and getting some good information. And then our last area is on-time performance. And so this is, again, this one's just going to be for our fixed route service. So we have that middle bar again, where you can kind of narrow down between which island. But for on-time performance, that's really only monitored in a way that we can easily display for fixed route service. And so that's what we have here. And as you can see, overall, we do a very good job. Our fixed route services are on time, well over 90% of the time. And so we're doing a good job out there. So let's go back to ridership. And I'm gonna kind of walk through how you can narrow down some of the focus. So if we can go to just fixed route only for our data. And then let's go to width. So you can start narrowing down, like if there's specific things you want to know, it's pretty easy to start clicking into this and selecting what exact data you want to see. Well, where is, let's click over to paratransit on Whidbey. What's our paratransit ridership been? And you can kind of see that there's some year to year, we have kind of the same trend lines going, but 2026 ridership has overall picked up. But February ridership in both years seems to dip down from where it was in January. So you can see these different trends. It's easy to pick them out. The data is readily available. And we're looking to combine this with another project that the Planning and Outreach Department is working on, and that is a redevelopment of our website. We would like to have an intranet that would be a staff-only intranet. So for the staff members in the room, if we're able to add that capability, this is something that you could access on our intranet. It would be available to internal viewers only. It wouldn't be available to the public. So this is what we've got, and we're hoping that you can take the information that we have distributed to you, look at it, look at the formats. If you have any suggestions over the next few months, we would appreciate any feedback. If there's a certain kind of data that you would like to see us track and display this way, we want to hear about that too. And as we go through the long-range transit plan, we expect that our consultants are going to come up with some suggestions for us as well as for other data points that we might want to track and monitor over time. So that's where we're at. We're kind of in this sweet spot where we have a nice stable format and a platform, but we're not so far along that things are locked in and we can't adjust them and customize them to the way the board would like to see them.
Great. Before we take questions, I'm gonna have Melinda, she had some comments.
Yeah, well, thank you, Brad. This really is a step up from where we've been as far as our KPIs and what we produce for our board and the public. And I wanted to just mention that prior to this, I would include a ridership report that was done by manually extrapolating data for our ridership. This actually is putting to use our Passio program. That is something we had that now that Brad has a transit associate planner on his team, we've been able to do a deeper dive. We talked about providing KPIs in our board retreat in 2025. And so we're bringing this to you today. There's a lot of room for input. The intent is to not only get the board's feedback on what questions you have and what things you'd like to see, but also to know that we're going to incorporate this in our monthly board meetings along with my executive director report and the HR report. Brad will also be able to provide this on a monthly basis. And with that, we can answer questions.
Commissioner Bacon.
Yeah, thank you. I have just a couple of really very basic KPI questions. Can you bring the presentation back up? I love it, Brad, by the way. I think this is fabulous, really fabulous. Just a couple of questions on what I'm seeing. So the first is if you go to cost per trip, these are just really basic questions. Cost per trip. So I'm looking at the first bar, which is, I guess I'm not. I guess I'm looking at route. Let's look at route 1, the green, the third one over, because I know route 1 better than any of the other routes. It's So it says $20 per trip. So is this $20? What does that mean? $20 per trip? Does it mean it's costing every time a human being gets on there and takes a trip, it's $20? It's got to be more than $20 to pay for someone to go from Clinton all the way up to North Whidbey. I mean, what does per trip mean in this context?
Okay, so the formula behind this particular KPI is we take our number of service or revenue hours or service hours, which you could see on a different screen, but don't move it. But the number of service hours that are on the Route 1, and we take that times our direct operating costs, which we got from the finance department. So we know what an hour of revenue service on average costs us. So you multiply service hours by that direct operating cost, and then you divide that number by your ridership overall year to date. And so then that's how you develop a cost per trip.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling stupid and I'm pretty good at math. That still is just not,
So,
but we can talk offline about it. That's okay. But it
okay,
still
and
doesn't.
I will, I'll write out an example,
Okay.
and share that with the board.
That'd be helpful. So then can you go to the on-time one, which is an even more basic question, I think, that I have. So here we have the green is the early percentage. So again, let's take a Route 1 and let's say that I'm standing at the stop in front of the Wi-Fi, and it arrives 5 minutes early. So this 54%, 5.54%, is that indicating times it sits there in front of the Wi-Fi or any other place while it's waiting to get back on? Because it's not going to leave the Wi-Fi 5 minutes early.
Right, it's the number of times that it arrives at a bus stop more than 2 minutes early.
Okay.
If you're more than 2 minutes early, that is what we classify as early. So there's about that 5.54% where we have buses that might show up at 2.5 or 3 or 4 minutes ahead of schedule. Then at time points, what they have to do is they have to stop and wait. And then they depart on time again. And that's part of the function of those time points is to stabilize and smooth out our route and how it functions.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Did you have other questions, Commissioner Bacon, or were those your two?
No, I remain confused about cost per trip, but we'll get this figured out
Okay.
at some point.
Before we move on to Craig Sear, just is it possible in this in this platform to have an information pop-up button that does have the methodology behind the data set that they're looking at? Because I do think that it would be helpful just based on these questions, if they could just click on it and it says, you know, service hours times direct costs, and then
We should be able to do that.
okay, I think that would help to
would be
eliminate
great.
anybody's confusion, but also for us to use the data in the right ways.
Yes, and can you go back to the cost per trip?
Yeah, thanks, Jenny.
Sure.
And then actually just hover over one of these bars right now. So, and you can't really see it, we're still working on how to display it, but that little box that pops up actually gives us a value there for
Okay.
that bar. This is one of the things that, like I said, we're working on, because you can't display the values for every single bar, because then your graph gets very busy and individual numbers get hard to read. So we're still working out.
Totally
Some of those
understandable in early stages. I think that, you know, the definition of, you know, whatever the methodology is behind the data, and then the hover over ability will probably help everybody. So that's probably great. So Craig, you had questions?
Yes, a number of questions. First of all, Melinda actually answered the question that this is Passio. Passio is a platform that collects the data and is presenting it here. Now, Brad, refresh my memory. When did the agency acquire Passio? And I apologize for any background noise.
Nope.
Yeah, Passio went live for our agency January 1st, 2025. That's when we started collecting data underneath the Passio system.
And which, did we have a platform before that collecting data?
We did. We have a route match was the name of the system. That data is stored. Part of the reason that we've moved away from that system is it was not great at reporting and getting information out. And we have run into some challenges exporting that data. We still have it in a giant database on our servers, but getting that information out in a way we have found there's some issues with the data, and we're trying to sort that out. So what we did is we just started with 2025 where we knew we had good data, and right now we're working on format and what we want to show. And then once we get those questions settled, we're going to go back and master the route match data.
Which
So
are
yeah,
gonna
you
be-
anticipated my question. I was wondering how much historical data we had access to, and could that be used? It makes total sense to get things running now. Do I remember that the Passio software in the entire package was significantly less expensive than the route match?
That is correct, yes. It was a difference of about I want to say between it was 225, I think, a year for the route match system, and it was about 58 something for the Passio system.
So
58.
precisely. So I want to point out that when Commissioner Bacon and I assumed acting roles at the agency, there was this guy, he was in charge of the planning department, and I asked him, what is the one thing that we need to do right away? Like, is there one? And he looked straight in the eye, straight in the eyes, and said, we've got to acquire the software package known as Passio, because the other package is way more expensive. It's on its last legs. Other agencies are moving away from it. This has to happen. And other staff members said the same thing. So board members, when you authorized the purchase of Passio, not only were you saving, $175,000 to $200,000, but we were upgrading our capability for reporting that basically is unmatched from what I've seen in the 6-7 years I've been on IslandTransit. This data, assuming that it gets validated, I'm sure you've been through a significant process of validating it, is really remarkable and will inform decisions for staff and actually board members. And to that point, one suggestion I would make, Brad, is it's good to know that we have 50 drivers on Whidbey and 13 on Camino, and how many are in training. But where the board was blind, is we didn't know the trends. We didn't know that we were, losing drivers. Well, we knew we were losing drivers, but what we needed to see was the trend over the year. So a number of years ago, that was a real problem. So I would just, if possible, to present the current number of drivers, much like you did with the bar charts. Show the last year, actually show the last 13 months, so we can do a comparison January over January, if possible. I really think that's important. Could you bring up the bar chart for the routes again?
Certainly, give us just 1 second.
Yeah, there was one very interesting piece of information, and this is an example of questions that, that this data brings forward. If you look, I think it's the Route 58, it's the fourth bar from the right. Is that Route 58?
It is, and we're double checking all of our data, but also one theory that I have on this is 2025 is for the full year. And I suspect as we get into this, we're going to find out the Route 58 ridership picks up in warmer months. And this just reflects January and February, but your costs are the same. And you'll hear me say over time, fixed route equals fixed cost.
Okay.
Because it doesn't change. And so fewer ridership, but a fixed cost means your cost per trip is higher. And I suspect as we go through the year, that number is going to drop down.
Is it possible to show a cost over by month over year for a single route?
Let's put our heads together on this end and I will try to get you an answer on that.
Okay. Another question is it possible for, I know you said staff will have access to this dashboard. Could we make this available to board members?
He's looking at me.
But you're gonna report on it monthly.
We are gonna
Oh, you
report
guys
on
can
it
do advisement.
monthly. I'm sorry, Craig. Can you repeat that, please?
What's that?
I'm sorry, I missed what you said there at the end.
Oh, you guys can ruminate on whether that's an advisable thing to do or not.
Perfect, yeah.
I'll be happy. I definitely will be taking a look at this. I'm not sure that this presentation is what I'd recommend for side-by-side comparisons. But I understand, of course, there's a lot of data here and it may get real busy if you merge the two together. I would also think it would be helpful if somewhere, and maybe it is on the chart and I just can't see it from my phone, but it would be interesting to see or to denote that this is January and February data for the 2026 comparison. Because I had the question, well, is this through March? Is this through February, et cetera? How hard is this real-time data or not?
It's not real-time data. It is, we gotta get through the month. We plan to clean up and audit our data. And then we would add it into these charts. So that's
Okay.
why you don't necessarily see March here, because we're not just taking the initial,
Sure.
On the first,
So-
I had March data and we could have just loaded it up for this today, but there is a process that we do go through. And so I didn't want to load in the March data just yet.
So Brad, were there any revelations when you looked at this data?
I'm gonna reserve comment because I'm still going through the data and doing the formulas, and I wanna make sure that something that I'm observing and calling out at a public board meeting is not based on a formula error.
That's fair.
Smart man.
You're a wise man. All right. Well, I mean, honestly, just this is obviously you made the right recommendation for the Passio purchase. Other agencies, have you seen their reports? Are they similar? Can you talk with your colleagues at other agencies? What they're doing?
It's interesting, Craig. Brad's looking at me and Jenny is as well. When I came on board last year, I actually did a WISTIP ask, and that's where we can go and ask all the agencies what they do and provide examples. And I really only received one example from Grace Harbor, where Ken Mean, the general manager there, produces KPIs for their board every month. But it is manual data. It's nothing like these graphs. So I don't know. I haven't checked again, recently on what folks are doing, but I think we're really rising to the top here.
Yeah, it certainly seems so. It might be interesting to go to another, high performing agency that has a good reputation, just kind of see what their best practices are. I've got other questions that I can follow up. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna ask Leela if she knew anything about CT.
Sorry.
I feel it coming. The planning department uses that data, but it's not reported out at the board meetings.
Okay, so did you hear that, Craig?
I couldn't hear it. No.
Alright, so at community transit, the planning department uses this data for determining routes and runs and all that kind of stuff, but it is not reported out at the board meetings.
I see.
So what you're seeing here is, I've never seen it in any other agency or heard of it in any other agency. You're ahead of the game.
Well,
Yeah.
it's nice to lead the way
Well, yeah, and I think that,
in transit for
to
having,
be the most productive with this in, being able to ascertain what it is the board would like to see is maybe you folks just ask us what you'd like to see forward. The types of things you would like to see, and then Brad can get into the system and see what we can produce that meets that need. No, I think Jenny.
Yeah, and I just had a couple of other questions if Craig didn't have any other. So on this particular slide, and I think a couple of others where we identified the para and on demand, is it possible to split out those two data points so that we have a true representation of which is para and which is on demand?
Yes, we probably can.
Okay,
We can get in and do, the splicers, that's that middle row up there. We can probably do the splicers and change the look a little bit.
okay. It was just, I'd just be curious, especially since this is a representation of, cost per ride and all that, to see kind of where we are with those. And then the other thing is, Celine, can you go back to the one that shows the staffing, please? So is there, kind of going back to what Craig had asked earlier, we've got the operators in training. Is there any sort of click-through capability so that we know where they are from a staging perspective? So how quick to bus, where they are in the progress?
Right now, no,
Okay.
but that is good feedback and we
Okay.
can discuss, what we can.
Okay, if it's super heavy lifting, I just know that that's one of the things that we've asked over the last couple of years is we always have kind of that number, but it's how many have gone through this stage, like when are they really gonna be in production?
It may be, that operators and training, we add a couple of rows and maybe one row says classroom and the other says ride share.
That's what I'm saying.
So we know what phase they're in. But both phases last about a month.
Okay,
I can attest to the 5 right now are going through their CDL testing, because I just spoke to our testers this morning.
and for somebody like me, I don't know what that means in the stage of things. Like, I know that that's an important
I think
milestone.
the
I don't know
CDL
what
is
that
right
means.
before
Okay,
the operator.
they're
training.
staying with us, they're going through CDL and we're
Yeah.
closer to them being in production, okay.
Our trainees that pass through the CDL,
Uh-huh.
they'll start driving under the supervision of other drivers out on the routes. So that puts them about 4 weeks away from being out on their own and joining our workforce. And seeing growth in our workforce.
If there are no other questions online, I just had one more thing. This is amazing, but I'm a data geek. So, a mentor of mine has always told me that, keep the score, report the score, and the score will improve. And I think that this is a wonderful, mechanism for us to have eyes on to, the growth in the organization. So thank you for the work you guys have done to put this together.
Absolutely.
And credit definitely to Brad and your department. You guys, they worked on this independent of myself. They knew I wanted KPIs and I was gonna come up with my own set and they came up with this and this was much better. I
This
was
is
really,
very fancy,
so thank you.
very fancy.
Very well done.
Thank you, Brad. So,
Welcome, Commissioner Johnson.
and with that, I was going to welcome Commissioner Johnson and announce to our Matt Hendricks that we do in fact have a quorum. So I'm gonna backtrack into the agenda and ask for an approval of the agenda as amended, since we jumped around a little bit.
Someone make the motion?
Yeah,
I need somebody to make
I
one.
move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second,
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor, say aye.
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 I
Any opposed? Motion passes. And then has anyone had an opportunity to look at the consent agenda? Any discussion, comments, feedback, emotional outbursts?
I'll move the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we've gone through the housekeeping. And we will get back on track and move to, if you're good with that, we'll move to business item number 1, which is going to be presented by our legal counsel, Matt Hendricks.
Good morning. Presenting resolution number 2-26, which is a update of the whistleblower policy. Whistleblower policies are required by state statute. The good news is that we had a whistleblower policy that was compliant with state law already. But as good practice, every once in a while we go through and just take a look at the resolutions and policies, and there are some minor updates. Of substance really was adding the human resources manager as the recipient of someone that can receive whistleblower complaint and process that. It also spells out as required by state law due process mechanisms. So if someone comes with a whistleblower complaint, does not like the result of the initial investigation, there's a process for an administrative law hearing. So, and that's all required by state law. So basically straight out of the statute. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions from online? Okay. We would be pleased to accept a motion.
I'd make a motion to accept the whistleblower policy as presented
And adopt the resolution 2-26.
and adopt the resolution 2-26. Thank you.
We have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2-26, adopting the IslandTransit Whistleblower Retaliation Prevention Program. Attached as Exhibit A and incorporated into this resolution by the reference, thus superseding resolution number 1-93, effective as of April 3rd, 2026. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. We will move on to business item number 2, which is authorization to enter into a cooperative purchasing agreement for agency procurements. And this will be presented to us by our procurement and risk manager, Nate Burns.
Good morning, all. So I provided a background document in the board packet. With that quick overview is we're asking for authorization to enter into agreements with Sourcewell, Omnia Partners, the Interlocal Purchasing System, also known as TIPS, the 791 Cooperative, and the Washington School Information Processing Cooperative. There is no cost to the agency, and this increases our buying power as a transit agency exponentially. With that, are there any questions?
Does it shorten timelines for the purchasing?
Yes, absolutely. So instead of us going out for a solicitation, all the work's been done. I will verify that was done in line with our procurement procedures as well as Washington State ones. But it will cut things at least in half.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
so just to add, a couple things, that I spoke with each of you about, it really does provide access to pre-negotiated competitively bid contracts. For goods and services. It provides a potential cost savings through leverage purchasing power, reduces our administrative burden, and eliminates the need to conduct separate solicitations for routine purchases. So, and as Nate said, he will be reviewing everything to ensure that it meets all FTA, state, and our procurement requirements. So, anytime we can reduce cost and leverage our buying powers is a good thing.
Jill, do you have a comment?
I do, and I think this is great. I just wanted to, we had a situation at the county where we would piggyback on contracts. And it was a cost saver, but we weren't piggybacking on the exact same type of purchase in those contracts, and we got a little feedback from the auditor on that. So in this procurement process, when we have this kind of pre-identified places we can buy, I just wanted to put out the caution that when you piggyback on another contract, which I know this is a little different, but it would be very easy to say, oh, this is an approved contractor and they're doing the same type of project. We learned that lesson in one aspect of my life. So I just wanted to send the warning over here as well that when you use those kind of procurements that are pre-identified, it doesn't necessarily mean you can just piggyback on somebody else's contract. They've got to be in alignment, or the auditor gives you a little feedback.
Right, right. Thank you for that. You know, I ran into that same experience at Everett, where, you know, not a cooperative, but a piggyback. And we piggybacked on a very large agency in Seattle. And I was the grant manager, and at the time, you know, they were certain that this said agency had met all of the requirements, and I discovered they had not. They had not run SAM, which is a required federal database and for debarment. And so I had to disallow all the costs, or it would have come up in the auditor. So we'll be very conscientious about that. So you speak the truth there.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Johnson. Matt was nodding like a bobblehead, so I appreciate that.
Follow the theme of the audit. The reason why we're doing the formality of this business item is that this agency years ago was dinged for not having formal adopted interlocal agreements, and interlocal agreements have to be adopted by the governing body, so. That's why.
Well, and I remember people telling me, oh, no, this is this agency. Of course, they've met all the criteria. And my comment was larger agency, bigger cracks. We got a lot more hands in the pot. So
I think that's a good call out and a good caution.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Questions, comments? Okay. I'll take a motion.
I move to authorize the executive director to execute cooperative purchasing agreements with Sourcewell, Omnia Partners, the Interlocal Purchasing System, 791 Cooperative, and Washington School Information Processing Cooperative to provide additional procurement options for Island Transit.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to execute the cooperative purchasing agreements. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Oh, Nate is staying with us to present the next one. He is going to chat with us about the 14 vans.
Yes, so business item number 3, authorization to purchase 14 vans awarded through the FY 25-27 Watchdog Public Transit Rideshare Grant Program in accordance with the 2025-2030 Transit Development Plan and as approved in the 2026 budget. So with the last sentence there, the board has already approved this in the budget. It's also been approved at the TDP, so this is not a new item. We're just looking for your explicit approval for us to purchase the vans.
Any comments, please?
no.
Questions? Okay. I would take a motion. We have no questions or comments.
Craig, did you want to make it?
I would like to, but unfortunately, I don't have the language in front of me, so I'm on my phone.
Okay, I got it. I move to authorize the executive director to execute any documents necessary for the purchase of 14 vans awarded through the fiscal year 25 through 27 Washtenaw Public Transit Rideshare Grant Program in accordance with the 2025-2030 Transit Development Plan and as approved in the 2026 budget.
And I will second that. Thank
We have
you.
a motion. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to authorize the execution of purchasing the 14 vans. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Run, Nate, run. Thank you, Nate. Now we've got business item number 4, authorization to increase the PSE transformer construction project budget. And that is going to be presented to us by, oh, Pete.
Ethan Mick.
I saw Meg's name here too, so I was confused. Pete is
Morning,
your stunt
everybody.
double today.
We are here today to seek authorization to increase the Coopville main base PSE transformer construction project not to exceed the amount to $1.25 million. You have in your board packets a copy of the memo and a copy of the updated PSE contract. For background, the budget for this project was approved in 2025 and carried over to 2026 in the amount of $1.1 million. We are requesting a net increase of $150,000. Next, please. When PSE was made aware that we were not pursuing an all-electric fleet right away, they wanted to hold off for a couple of years and rebid the work because they stated we would not be able to utilize the full 2,000 kVA transformer power. The cost to wait would increase significantly, possibly millions of dollars based on feedback from KTFF and Dole Electric. Please. We have already paid an initial $486,871 for the original awarded contract to lock in the original pricing. The updated contract in your packet includes an additional $97,000 for the potential power load changes. PSE pricing changes every 90 days and increases 20%, which is why we are bringing this to the board today to lock in the updated PSE pricing. After discussing with Matt, we added an additional $53,000 as a contingency in case there are change orders or costs arise during construction of installation. Next, please. Our recommendation is for the board to provide authorization to increase the transformer project budget cost to not exceed $1.25 million. Are there any questions?
Yes, this is Craig Sear. Can Pete please remind us why we are doing this project?
For future upgrades, the long range plan is in process, so we don't know exactly what the extra cost power usage is gonna be.
We're pretty much at max capacity.
Yeah, we are. At
So my
max power
memory-
right now with the transformer we have.
Yes, that's exactly. That's what I wanted to make sure board members are aware. We are maxed out with the current equipment that we have. This is a must do project. Thank you.
So you're saying we have to do something, and this
Yes.
is what was bid for, we had bid on or gotten a bid for.
Yes.
That's correct. That's correct. So, Melanie, essentially, while PSC would, like us to rebid this down the road, it could exponentially cost us millions more if we wait. Does that answer your question?
Where the board's gonna be.
Jill.
We're paying for the transformer. PSE isn't fronting the money to put the transformer in, correct?
Correct.
So the reason for the increase is that then they are reserving that additional power for us, and they're kind of asking for us to pay up front because they're not getting they're not getting the money that they would be getting if we utilize that. So it's more of a capacity hold than it is the cost of construction. It says this powered energy will be yours. It has to be yours in the future, but we need you to pay for it now, even though you're not using it because we have to hold it for you. Is that kind of what's happening?
That's exactly correct, yes.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me then. And then also, I mean, I'm not a fan of do things twice, so I'd rather just do it once. That's my personal opinion.
You also have 400,000 of some costs already too. So.
Yeah.
Right.
486. So weird question, if we overproduce, can we sell it back to them?
There's a form that you have to use within 5 years that we can get some reimbursement for.
Okay.
Yes. We also have, I'm sorry, Pete, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
We also have Jeff from KPFF in case there's any other questions. Thank you for joining us, Jeff. I think we have
You
our
bet.
questions answered.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Do you have any other comments? Right, I would entertain a motion, if anyone is so inclined.
I guess Jill doesn't have it. Okay. I move to authorize increasing the budget for the PSC transformer construction project to NTE 1.25 million and authorize the executive director to execute any contract documents for this project within this budget amount. Not to exceed
Second.
1.25 million.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the increase in the budget for the PSE transformer. Any other discussions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Pete. Okay, and we already had business item number 5. There was no action to be taken on that one. Correct. Correct. So we'll go to executive director report.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Yesterday, we forwarded a packet of the executive director report along with a few attachments. So I'm gonna go through and just give some highlights of that report. The first one being, I'd like to bring attention to the celebration we had in honor of Operator Appreciation Day on March 18th, which is a nationally recognized day. Expressing our appreciation for our operators and dispatchers and what they do for our community. Island Transit celebrated with our operators and dispatch both on Whidbey and Camino, providing boxed lunches from Subway. We are grateful and celebrate our employees for all the work they do for our community. Next thing I'd like to bring to your attention is that we were just notified through our insurance pool, WISTIP, that we have received the Safety Star Award. This is a big deal. Island Transit is the recipient of the Washington State Transportation Insurance Pool Safety Star Award for the medium-sized agency category. WISTIP recognizes long-term dedication and commitment to safety. This award honors members who maintain strong and consistent safety records within each rating category of large, medium, or small agencies. Winning recipients have demonstrated sustained performance with low auto liability losses to the organization. Island Transit received the award for activity between 2020 to 2024. The agency will receive a cash award of $3,500. These funds will be used to recognize our operators during our annual mandatory employee meeting scheduled to begin this fall. The award will be presented by WISTIP to Island Transit at one of our future board meetings. So excellent job for everyone involved. That includes our trainers, our supervisors, all of our admin employees that all work towards that mission. So thank you all. Next is an update on our rapid flashing beacon at State Route 20 and milepost 19. I'm happy to report that this week we received a draft 60% design for the crossing between Ryan's House and the Coopville base. WashDOT remains on target for construction this summer. Board members had expressed interest in creating a left and right turn lane. I reached out to WashDOT, who reviewed our turning volumes and intersection count and found that the driveway unfortunately does not meet WashDOT requirements to add turn lanes. That said, WashDOT is exploring reducing the speed limit in that section from 50 to 45. So I hope to have further information on that in the near future. Any questions on that before I move forward?
Glad to get an update. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Did you get any feedback from the reserve about the flashing light, or they didn't comment, or they were fine with it? Or I'm glad we're doing it. I'm just curious if you got feedback from the reserve.
You know, I did not, Commissioner Johnson. Maybe I should inquire with them or not. All righty, moving right along to my next item. Long range plan, attached to your packets. I hope you will all please, take out the handout, which is, titled Roadmap 2047. This is important for all of our board members, our community, and our employees. We are in phase 1 of the public outreach events for the long range transit plan. This is a reference for board member awareness regarding events planned in the community over approximately the next 6 weeks. Please feel free to reference or distribute to community members as you see fit. I did an interview with the Whidbey News Times yesterday to bring attention. I requested it. We'll see how it comes out, but the idea is to make all of our community members aware that we are in an engagement process and we need their feedback. We have a QR code, we have a web page set up, and we also have a link where they can participate in surveys along with multiple events around Island County. So it's critical as we plan the next 20 years to get their input. So we'll also be riding buses, talking to people one-on-one. So we invite you to participate with that. We need everybody's help. So pretty portion to that. Okay. Couple other things for our planning, marketing, and rideshare department. I would like to announce that we have hired a new senior outreach coordinator. Our previous coordinator, Tony Sanseri, has been promoted to our grants administrator. And I'm very happy to announce we have hired Paula Morehouse. You may remember Paula as Chris Londo's job coach. So we are thrilled to have her. She will be a travel trainer as well as being a significant part of the outreach team. And we couldn't have selected someone better suited for that position. We're happy to welcome her into her new role. And with that, another planning item, IslandTransit service change became effective Sunday, March 29th. Service guides have been distributed. Thus far, we're already a pretty big hit on the Navy base with removing on demand and putting in the fixed route. We are measuring those counts. We don't have any comparisons quite yet, still early because it's the first week, but we're excited to monitor the progress there and see how that works. For projects, I'd like to mention our South Whidbey Transit Center project. So you may remember over the past couple of years, we have examined several properties. One of them, the last one that was brought before the board was the Kent's Corner, where we discussed purchasing that property, and we also, were faced with the moratorium that was put in place. So we have about 12, I saw that, Melanie. We have about 12, a little over $12 million in federal funds riding on this particular project. We wanted to get our long-range plan underway to ensure that the project, in fact, is supported by the long-range plan. So in the meantime, I worked with WashDOT and Ferries as well as KPFF to do a feasibility study on the Clinton Park and Ride. So we currently, they are coming up with a 60% concept design that we'll be presenting to you in May. So it's an alternative choice that is already zoned for transportation. We were actually able to retain the parking spaces there, even putting in a bus area, a layover area for our buses, in addition to shelters and a comfort area. So we'll bring that to you in May. We are on the fast track for this. KPFF is working on getting the NEPA questionnaire so that we can get it submitted to WashDOT by the end of April. That's a critical timeline for us because we need to, if we decide that this is a property we'd like to pursue, it takes about 2 years to surplus from the state, and that's just about the amount of time we have to obligate those funds so that we don't lose them. So I'm pushing pretty quickly on this particular thing. So that's all I have. Any questions on that? We'll bring you more in May, but yeah, we have a couple.
Commissioner Johnson.
Is this property in a LAMRID or RAID, or it's outside of those? Can we check the zoning first, or?
So I certainly will. Actually, you and I had talked a while back and it was already zoned for transit use. So I believe it was outside of the
Okay.
RAID, but I will make sure of that before we bring it back.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Okay.
Sorry.
You bet. No problem. No problem.
Craig Sear?
So what exactly will we be receiving in May? And will we be making any decisions, or what will come to us?
What's going to come to you is just a presentation and a concept design of what it could look like. Based on parking spaces, a comfort area, a bus layover. I'm bringing it in to present it so we can discuss and talk about it. We will be waiting on FTA and WashDOT on their approval of the level of NEPA on how we would have to move forward. So it's just a discussion piece in May.
And so NEPA stands for National Environmental something Act.
Environmental Protection Act. Thank you.
And
yes.
Langley has been through the experience of waiting 20 months for a NEPA determination. How long do you think it will take? This was during COVID, by the way.
Sure.
Do we have any sense of how long the timeline is for that?
We do. You know, I, as you know, have enjoyed a very long time relationship with FTA and our administrators, as well as the environmental planners there. And so they are aware the project is coming, but as a recipient here at IslandTransit, I must work through WashDOT, but FTA is already aware it's on the way. And both WashDOT and FTA know their grant funds at risk. So we're hoping that we can push this along.
2 years? Why does it take 2 years? I mean,
It depends. You know, I will tell you, I mean, if they want borings in the soil for contamination, if you start digging and unearth a Indian burial site, for example, there's DAP that goes along with that. What is that?
Discovery plan.
Or what was that?
It's the inadvertent discovery.
Discovery plan, yes, and I have worked on that in Everett, pardon me.
Then you're not talking 2 years anymore.
Yeah, and then it would be a really long time, but, you know, I don't know what all their process is. You know, we hope to get a
Okay.
categorical exclusion so that we don't have to do a bunch of cleanup. I will say, as much as I hate to mention, there is, Whidbey Oil is across the street from the Clinton Park and Ride. Hard to say what's in the ground there, but that will be something that's looked at.
Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you very much. Next, we will move to our human resources manager report. Mr. Terrence Ellison.
Good morning, everybody. This report will cover February and March for the operators. And it's also accompanied with the aggregate data for the previous 13 months.
Thank you.
Let's see. As of right now, we have 73 operators, 57 on Whidbey, 16 on Camino. We had 5 in trainees. We did lose 1 trainee yesterday. So if you're looking at the chart over the previous 13 months, we'll just focus on February and March. February, there were 6 new hires. We also had 1 exit in February, and in March, there was an additional exit, bringing our total to 73, which is where we stand right now. And as previously stated, we had 5 in training, and we lost 1 in training yesterday. 1 trainee yesterday. Excellent. And if you look over the previous 13 months, February we're at 74, and March we're at 73, which is where we stand right now. And as you can see, we're holding steady, which is good. Our numbers are slightly rising, and we still have room. When's our next class start?
June sixth.
June-
Not June, I'm sorry, April sixth.
April 6th, we have another class coming in. So if these guys make it through, our numbers will rise a little bit more. And we're holding steady, not many exits at all.
So Terrence, you say you're holding steady. What is the goal? What is the employee number goal? What are we
Well,
budgeted for?
if we can get up to about 78, 79, we'll be good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Melanie.
So when you say good to go, that means we've got coverage across all routes and
Yes,
kind of
and then
lowers overtime.
lowers overtime, all that good stuff. We're able to plan for almost any contingency. Given the how many people can be out on leave, which was negotiated during the last CBA. If a lot of people take leave and all those different things, we'll be able to cover that with minimal ease, if we can get on to those numbers.
Are the 4 people, I'm sorry, are the 4 people that are currently in training, are those intended to be full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
Full-time.
We 1 completed their CDL yesterday, so that's a good thing. And when did the 3?
1 yesterday, 3 are testing.
3 are testing today. So once those guys get in, that'll be good for us as well.
But that potentially takes us to 77 going into the summer months.
With the new class coming in.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
And as you can see, we're not having really many exits. We did have 1 yesterday, but I was a trainee. I talked to the operators this morning. I talked to the supervisor this morning just to get a general feel of how the operators are feeling. And the general consensus is the operators are happy. And they're, saying that we're heading in the right direction. Any questions?
Questions from online? No. Thank you, Terrence. Okay, other business. And then we would jump to board comments. Any comments from the board? Hearing none, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. We are adjourned.
Good to see you, Jill.
I've missed you, Jill.
I mean,
Thank
I'm
you.
almost ready to go.
Okay.
Just seeing your face makes me happy.
Thank you. Thank you. Yours too.
Thanks for joining us today for the forum too. Much
Sure.
appreciated.
Thank you.